in the novel 1984, written by George Orwell in the year of 1984.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.
3 slogans of the English Socialist Party of Oceania, or INGSOC. These 3 slogans are oxymorons, meaning that they are direct contradictions of one another. We know this because of our ability to rationally think. But what if thought was outlawed? Big Brother stalks your every move, always watching and always listening. How is this possible, you might be thinking? Government issues television screens, hooked up with constant surveillance and constant audio monitoring. Today on the show, we're going to go over the contents of the story and as well as its accurate depictions of the future and our reality. We will be right back after these messages. In the book, we follow a man in his later 30s who has finally seen the world for its truth. We find ourselves in the shoes of a man manipulated by the system, not only because of the government actions, but also because of his past sins, involving the betrayal of his family by himself as a boy. While not truly understanding as a child, he helped erect the Tower of Babel that now controls his very wake. Seeking out the secret organization that only is told of by the rats of the city's underground, he falls in love with a girl named Julia. He's betrayed by his own ambition and is thrown in handcuffs and brought to the giant pyramid known as the Ministry of Love, a megastructure whose sole purpose is to break the minds of political prisoners. O'Brien spends weeks emotionally subjecting Winston into submission. And when that fails, he grows deeper, pulling from Winston's phobia of rodents, strapping him to a chair that has a set of trapdoors in the front of Winston's face, each one bringing the rats closer and closer, the hungry rats screeching out, waiting. Then he breaks, selling out Julia, his love, and selling out the Brotherhood. After this, naturally, he goes back to wearing blue overalls, the colors of the party. Then the fall of Oceania happens, collapsing the tyrants. How does this relate to today? The war on thought, the war on drugs, and the Patriot Act. All aspects. The war on drugs is the policy of a global campaign led by the United States federal government of drug prohibition, military aid, and military intervention with the aim of reducing the illegal drug trade in the U.S. On the CIA official.gov website, you can read just how focused the Gov was on keeping drugs out of the U.S. And for time's sake, I will go into the Contras and their deal to smuggle heroin and crack into the U.S. using U.S. military through Israeli airports. A quote by Ed Bradley: MK Ultra is not the name of a new James Bond movie. It is or was the code word for a secret CIA project which took place between 1953 and 1964. In which unsuspecting people were used in mind control experiments that left them emotionally crippled for life. MK Ultra consisted of more than 130 research programs which took place in prisons, hospitals, and universities all over the United States. Tonight we'll look at the sub-project number 68, an experiment conducted in Canada. The CIA does not deny that the experiments took place. In fact, we'll show you an internal agency memo which admits their involvement. I will go into the memo. I'll put it on screen. The Patriot Act 2001. The Patriot Act allows internet service providers to disclose customer records involuntarily to the government in emergencies involving an immediate risk of death or serious physical injury, and permits victims of hacking crimes to request law enforcement assistance in monitoring trespassers on their computers. The act enabled investigators to gather information when looking into the full range of terrorism-related crimes, including chemical weapons, the use of weapons of mass destruction, killing Americans abroad, and terrorism financing. A quote, hastily passed 45 days after 9/11 in the name of national security. The Patriot Act was the first of many changes to surveillance laws that made it easier for the government to spy on ordinary Americans by expanding the authority to monitor phone and email communications, collecting bank and credit card records, which the U.S. IRS uses to estimate your taxes due. Before the sad events of 9/11, the law enforcement agencies would have to get a warrant. Now they have free reign using agencies like the NSA, National Security Agency, to frequently stalk, quote, red flags that they themselves decide. I know this is crazy, but in the words of Wendigan, and remember, kids, the next time that someone tells you the government wouldn't do that, oh, yes, they would. Now, signing off, remember.
War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength.